Good morning. This morning we are in Bari, Italy. Now let me just put my sunglasses on. This morning we arrived very early once again. Me and Dom set our alarms to get up roughly about 7 a.m. because we are off on an excursion this morning and our meeting time is 8:15.
Yesterday we had a really super day in Kotor. What a beautiful part of the world. Our excursion was incredible. We drove those 25 hairpin turns all the way up to the very top where we were treated to some local wine and food. We were really impressed with the day, and the evening was equally as impressive on board Celestyal Journey, so make sure you check out that vlog. Now today here in Bari, the forecast for the weather isn't looking too great, but fingers crossed it brightens up because I think there's a little bit of sun up there somewhere.
Now this morning after we got ourselves ready, we headed down to the Thalassa Restaurant because we haven't been in there yet, so we thought we would try breakfast.
The Thalassa Restaurant is a large venue. We did eat in here a couple of nights ago on Easter Sunday when it was the Greek buffet.
Now this restaurant is the main dining room of the ship, and for breakfast it offers buffet style dining.
There was a superb selection of all your breakfast favourites, from breakfast pastries to those traditional hot cooked food items.
Now even though the food is served buffet style, drinks are served to you at your table as well as toast. You can have tea, coffee or juices. However, if you want fresh pressed juices, these are an additional charge.
Standard juices are also available, and Tom and I had a couple of orange juices as well as some coffee.
Then we went up to the buffet where I got myself some hot breakfast items, including some extra large hash browns.
I tried an omelette with some beans, a bit of sausage and a hash brown, and yeah, everything apart from the sausage I ate really good quality.
We didn't spend too long in the Thalassa Restaurant because, as we said, we had an excursion, so roughly we were in there around 20 minutes. We then headed back to our cabin where you find us now. We're just about to head off to the main theatre, the meeting point for all tour excursions, and as I said, we'll wait until 8:15 when our tour will be called. Well, good morning. After we left you, we headed down to the theatre.
It was a lot quieter in the main theatre today. I think after yesterday's really busy morning excursions, I think they've started to stagger the times in which excursions leave the ship. Fortunately for us, ours was the first one, and pretty much we were there for a couple of minutes and then they told us we could make our way off the ship and get onto our tour bus.
Our tour bus was really easy to find this morning because it was tour bus number 1, and in no time at all we met our Italian guide, who is perfect English speaking, and headed onto the bus.
We had a beautiful drive with commentary through the beautiful countryside down here in the south of Italy, which is a place we've never been before, and the vegetation is a really plush green considering its location just off the Amalfi coast.
Now we are in the Puglia region of Italy, so that means if you think about the shape of Italy as a boot, we are just on the heel.
After a short drive we arrived at our first destination, which was the caves. Our tour bus did park around about a 5-minute walk away from the entrance to the caves, and we did have to get off the coach and then follow our guide to the entrance.
Now these caves were absolutely extensive. They were open to the public in 1952 after some renovation works to make them safe for the public to enter, and let me tell you, when we walked inside we were in awe because it was absolutely huge.
It's a very popular tourist destination. The facilities available in and around the cave entrance were extensive, with lots of little tourist shops. What was really interesting was the fact that they had multiple entrances depending on the language in which you wanted your tour.
Also, we were given a special tour guide for the caves, so different to the one that we were doing for the rest of our excursion, and she met us at the entrance to the caves and walked us down through a small incline into the caves itself. And when we arrived into the caves, we were met by a vast expanse, and once again, just like the caves we had in Castellana, this one was also also open.
It was really beautiful. There were stalactites and stalagmites. They also had an unusual little paper mache statue of some type of demon, because the locals used to refer to this place as the entrance to hell.
And it did feel a bit like that, because as you look up you get all that light streaming in, and for a long time apparently the locals wouldn't even come near the cave just in case a monster emerged.
There's also another statue of the explorer who found the caves and started to explore them.
Now this main cave area is the only area we were really allowed to film in. Number one, because it went quite dark, and number two, they are quite strict about lighting inside the cave, just because they didn't want to ruin any of the elements of the cave that nature has created.
It took us around about an hour to walk around a full loop, and yeah, we went through caves, we went down deeper and deeper and deeper, and towards the end, thankfully, there was an elevator to take us up to the top. One thing to note, it was really slippy.
Yes, our guide took us through the whole of the cave. There was a guide at the front and one at the back. They both had torches, which meant they could illuminate different elements of the cave that they wanted to highlight for us.
In terms of accessibility, yes, certain parts are accessible because they do have a lift, but even for us, we did find it a little bit difficult, especially around some of those corners and steep paths.
After the caves, we were then met by our original tour guide just outside, where we waited for the whole group to arrive, and then we walked back to the coach, which was roughly about a 5-minute walk. We then took a bus journey again for about half an hour to make our way to an Italian cliff-top town. When we reached the town, it was another 15-minute walk, so do bear that in mind. Again, the walk was flat, but it was about 15 minutes to get into the old part of town.
What's interesting is the fact that they can't allow lorries or heavy vehicles to drive into the town, because the town is nested upon an extensive cave network system.
And there really is some great views as you walk in. First of all, you walk along the coast, being able to pick up some of those caves underneath you, and then you start to walk through some of the new town of the cliff-top town, and then eventually you reach the old part of town.
Even though they've got lots of caves and boat tours that leave from certain caves, there's only actually one small little beach, and wow, was it busy.
It was a beautiful beach though. It is rocky, but the colour of the water was perfect turquoise. Also to note that this is the place where some of the Red Bull jumping activities do happen, so if you are a fan, here they do some of that cliff jumping.
After being on the bridge and looking at the beach, we decided to walk through the old town to another vantage point.
Yeah, we walked through some of those tiny old town streets with beautiful Italian architecture. We even spotted a couple of the locals hanging out of their windows, waiting to greet the visitors as we passed by.
A true, authentic Italian experience.
It was a great place, and there is lots of these little vantage points dotted about, and we took the opportunity to take some photos looking back at the beach from where we were standing before. At this point, our guide left us and let us wander around for about 1 hour of the old town.
It was beautiful, really pretty. Everything seemed so white and clean and fresh, but still had this really historic, traditional feel to it.
It did feel authentically Italian. Me and Dom did then take the opportunity to take a seat. We found a perfect spot looking over that beach where I had myself a limoncello spritz. What more could you want in Italy? And Dom had himself an Italian cold beer.
Considering the weather was supposed to rain and be cloudy today, it's around about 24 degrees Celsius and pure blue sunshine. It is beautiful, and that drink was really needed, because the old town was like a little sun trap with all these little squares, piazzas and narrow walkways.
Also, the waiter did give us some little biscuit snacks, and they were very welcome, because at this point we were feeling slightly hungry.
After a little drink and a little refresh, it was time to head back to our tour guide to take the bus back to Bari. On the way through the old town, again, really beautiful. I think if we had a little bit longer, we would have grabbed a table in the main square and had something to eat, because it was just a really beautiful area of the town.
Yes, there was definitely no time for pizza on this tour, which is a shame, but just as we passed under the old entrance to the town, there was a gelato shop, and me and Dom couldn't resist dropping in and grabbing ourselves a different gelato each. I went for a chocolate flavour and Dom went for pistachio.
Really nice, and again, very much appreciated, because it is hot.
It was then time to walk back through the town on the same route as we did on the way. First of all, passing through some of those new town streets and then along the beachfront walk until we reached our coach. Again, about a 15-minute walk.
What's interesting is they do have a metro, however it is a walk-in metro with signs dotted all along the coast. And the reason for that is because they cannot allow any large heavy vehicles above the town. Really interesting.
Now again, we spent another half an hour on the coach heading back here to Bari, where the tour guide gave us the opportunity to be dropped off in Bari town or taken back to the ship. We opted to be dropped off here in Bari because we wanted to come and see this building just here. This is the Church of Saint Nicholas, and as our tour guide told us, people from Italy stole the bones of Saint Nicholas. Yes, that guy that you all know of that normally turns up around the 25th of December. He is resting currently here in Italy.
We're at the Basilica of Saint Nicholas. We got dropped off at McDonald's, which is at the edge of the old town and the new town. There's lots of construction been going on in recent years, and we really wanted to explore the old town, and it was a really short walk. I think as soon as we turned the corner, 3 minutes in, we were in the old town. Very, very walkable.
Now the Basilica here is free to enter, and you can head downstairs into the crypt area where the bones are located, so we definitely would recommend that as something to do here.
The old town in Bari is beautiful.
Again, Bari feels very authentically Italian. We've loved wandering through some of the old town streets here and seeing some of the old Italian architecture.
So we're going to have a final little walk through the town, see what we can see, and make our way back to Celestyal Journey.
Well, we are back on the ship now. We've made it back from Bari in Italy. Once again, it was an absolute breeze getting back on the ship. We were told that we may need a photographic ID to get back on the ship, but in fact we weren't asked for that at all here. Just showed our cruise card and walked straight on. Not a single queue in sight.
The old town of Bari was beautiful. Lots of narrow little alleys with bars, restaurants and tourist souvenirs. It was so nice to walk through because it was nice and cool. The sun was out and it was hot.
One of the things that we did spot as we were walking through the old town was those ladies that set up their little stalls in the street making pasta and selling it to tourists going past. It was a great little spot that we had, and it's one of the most famous sites in Bari in Italy is to go and see these ladies making the pasta.
I've never seen such colourful pasta in my life. It was really nice to see, and there are just about every single variety of pasta available.
This local pasta is made out of durum wheat, and it is produced by hand in the streets of Bari right here in Italy.
We then walked straight back, and from the centre of the old town to the cruise port it took us around about 15 minutes. Not too bad a walk at all.
No, and the walk was all totally flat. You head straight towards the port where the ferries dock, walk through the gate, and in no time at all you are back on the ship. Once we were back on the ship, we headed straight back to our cabin where we dropped off our bags, and then up to that indoor pool area where we headed to the Greek Grill once again.
The Greek Grill is open daily and it's the perfect spot to pick up a quick bite to eat, such as gyros and pizza. The pizza changes daily, and today it was a vegan cheese and vegetable pizza and also a carbonara pizza.
Now, as it appeared that everyone was getting back on the ship roughly about the same time, because it was only an hour to go now until sail away, it was busier than it had been previously and the pizza was in demand, but there was no problems at all, only a very short wait for fresh pizza to be put back out. Now, we were planning to sit out on deck, but unfortunately at this point it just about started to rain, so our plans had to change, so we decided to sit down in the indoor pool area and grab ourselves a drink.
Fortunately, the weather held out for the vast majority of the day. Looking at the forecast prior to arriving in Bari, it did look like it was going to be drizzly all day, so I think we were quite lucky.
Now, after sitting in the indoor pool area, the crew did need to close the roof, so that was something that was fascinating to watch because it was pouring with rain and the rain was coming through and into the pool.
After having something to eat and relaxing, we came back to the room just to watch the the sail away from Bari from the balcony.
On the way back to the room, we did pick up a glass of wine each from the Cafe Nation bar. The fantastic waiters there once again recommended us some perfect wine, gave us the opportunity to taste a couple to find the one that was perfect for us. We chose a different wine each. Dom went for a red, I went for a white. We brought it back up to the cabin and we've just sat outside on the balcony having a little drink while we've sailed away.
We've left Bari and we're currently making our way over to Corfu. We've still got the rest of the evening to come.
So me and Dom are going to get changed, get ready and head on out for the evening. Well, we are back in the cabin after enjoying a fantastic meal in the Smoked Olive restaurant last night.
So last night after we left you, we headed down to the restaurant. Now the Smoked Olive is our designated suite dining room, but it also doubles up as a specialty restaurant that anybody can book themselves into.
We arrived at the restaurant around 8 PM and it was the busiest we have seen it so far. The restaurant was almost full, but our waiter quickly took us and sat us in one of the lovely booths right in the corner of the restaurant.
The table was already laid for 2 people. We were offered some bread and then the sommelier came round to offer us some wine.
Yes, we went for the wine that we tried in the wine tasting. It was wine number 4 from the wine tasting, a red wine. So we knew it was going to be good, and of course we were right.
Priced around €24, we think it was exceptional value.
The Smoked Olive Speciality Restaurant does actually have 2 menus. You can order a la carte or you can have a set menu. The a la carte option is priced individually, where the set menu is roughly around €45 plus service charge.
That includes 5 courses.
Last night we decided to go a la carte and we chose the starter, a main meal and a dessert.
To start then, we both decided to go for the salad, and again it was presented beautifully. Lots of different types of salad, tomatoes, peppers and some cheese. The waiter then came around and drizzled a generous portion of olive oil and balsamic vinegar. It was really good and I cleared my plate.
It was a really fresh salad, a perfect way to start our meal. And then it was on to the main course. Once again, me and John both went for the same option. We went for the beef bolognese, and it was pulled beef with a rich tomato sauce. On top of some fantastic tasting pappardelle pasta. It was divine. It must be the best meal I've had on the ship so far. And that's saying something. I really loved this pasta dish.
We also had some fresh parmesan sprinkled on the top. It was incredible. One of the best pasta dishes I have ever eaten. And it was such a generous portion.
Throughout every meal, our waiter has kept us topped up with that red wine. As soon as we've had a couple of sips, he is there topping it back up.
The service on board has been exceptional.
It was then time for dessert, and this is where me and Dom differed. I went for an affogato, which was ice cream with an espresso on top and a liqueur. This was a nutty liqueur and it had a fantastic taste to it. Really went well with vanilla ice cream.
And I chose to go for the black cherry cheesecake, and wow, I'm so impressed. It was full of flavour, really intense and indulgent. I couldn't believe just how good it was.
Once again, now we've tried 2 specialty restaurants. Both had exceptional service and amazing tasting food. For value for money, we think they are great.
After our specialty meal in the Smoked Olive, we headed to the Martini Bar, where there was a crew talent show being performed.
Oh my god, it was fantastic. There are 3 crew members who are magicians. They each put on a magical show. We were impressed. The kids on board were impressed. I think everyone really enjoyed it. There was also a crew member who did dancing. She was fantastic. And then it rounded up with one of our fantastic bar team members who've been serving us those amazing cocktails across in the Blue Bar Charisma. She sang "We Are the Champions" right at the end to wrap the show up.
The crowd loved it. We loved it. It was so entertaining. Usually when you go and see a magician, you tend to know what you're kind of going to expect in terms of the types of tricks. These guys really surprised us because there are some tricks that they did that we've never seen before.
And it was just absolutely fun. Even some of the things that perhaps didn't go quite to plan, but the way they did it, it was exceptionally funny.
And considering they're all amateurs, they're not professionals in any way, they did do a superb job. keeping us entertained, and well done to every single one of them.
Due to us watching the cruise show in the Martini Bar, it did mean we missed tonight's performance in the main theatre, but that's not true. We've seen many performances now. We know the cast in the main theatre are excellent. It was nice to do something alternative.
After the crew talent show, we then made our way across to one of our favourite venues here on Celestyal Journey, Cafe Nation. The duo were playing a selection of songs. It was just such a great atmosphere. We've said it once, we'll say it again. The staff in there are incredible.
Every day on board Celestial, they do offer a cocktail of the day. Last night's was a passion fruit margarita.
Because we didn't get the opportunity to go to the Blue Bar to get our cocktail fix, we thought we'd go with the cocktail of the day. You can order one of these in any bar across the ship.
It was a freshly made cocktail with a piece of passion fruit on the top. The cocktails on board are of a very high standard. They are really, really delicious, and we absolutely love this one.
The presentation was perfect, and they do not skimp on the alcohol.
No, it was quite a strong one.
It was.
We sat down in the Cafe Nation bar for the rest of the evening, chatting with some of our fellow passengers. We had a great evening, really fun. The band were playing, there were lots of people up dancing, as there usually is in Cafe Nation. The vibe in there was fun, really entertaining with the duo playing. We had a fantastic evening.
Unfortunately, as we're heading towards Greece, the clocks do go forward an hour, so it was now 1 o'clock because the clocks went forward at 12 o'clock. So we decided it was time to go to bed.
Yep, so it was back to our cabin and we were off to sleep, and that was the end of our day here on Celestyal Journey.
Here on Celestyal Journey, there's no late night snacks or late night buffet available, and if I'm honest, I haven't really missed it because the amount of food we've been eating during the evenings has kind of kept me topped up until morning.
Yes, there is a good selection of food, and our portions tonight, that pasta again was fantastic. So we definitely haven't gone hungry.
When we were back in the cabin, again here on Celestyal Journey, they do a nightly turn down service, and we had a lovely towel animal as well, which is just a really nice touch.
Again, as we are in a balcony junior suite, we do get 2 bottles of water left in our cabin every single day, which is perfect after an evening having a few cocktails.
We've had a fantastic day in Bari, Italy today. The caves were phenomenal, that clifftop town incredible, and the evening on board Celestyal Journey has been perfect.
Tomorrow we are in the port of Corfu, and neither of us have been there before, so we're really looking forward to getting to the port and exploring.
We haven't booked any excursions, we're just going to get off. We've then got a really great night on board Celestyal Journey. Can you believe it? We're 5 days into this cruise already. Thanks for watching our day in Bari on Celestyal Journey. If you've got any comments or questions, just pop them in the box below and we'll get back to you. If you'd like to support us in creating future content and receiving exclusive benefits, we're also available on Patreon and through YouTube channel memberships.
Patreon and YouTube members get exclusive benefits from our cruise, including unique videos and postcards from our trip.
Head over to our Patreon or YouTube membership tiers to check out what's available.
Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. We've got lots more content available on our YouTube channel, so press that subscribe button. If you're interested in receiving daily updates, we're available on most social media platforms. Just search for Tom and Dom Travel.